Page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. Welcome to the African History Network show. It is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022, and we are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Well, I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered today, and we actually got a chance to talk with Marcus Arbery, Ahmaud Arbery's father, as well as Ahmaud Arbery's aunt. And we were discussing the guilty verdicts today on federal hate crimes charges. Okay, so I'm gonna let you hear an excerpt of what we discussed. And the three white men who were found guilty in Georgia state court of killing Ahmaud Arbery were found guilty today on federal hate crimes charges as well. And it was important to go ahead with the federal hate crimes case because the remote chance that the state of Georgia convictions are overturned, and the remote chance that the state of Georgia convictions are overturned, you still have the federal hate crimes charges, and they're convicted on federal hate crimes charges also. Okay, so New York Times has some good coverage on this, and we're going to go to clip one here from Roland Martin Unfiltered here in just a second. Shakita, normally I'm on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Fridays, but after I did the presentation today for Tech Town, and we listened to Maggie Anderson, author of the book Our Black Year, and my presentation went really well today. I dealt with some of the history of Black Bottom and Paradise Valley and what happened to it, and the expressways that came through in Lafayette Park and things like this. And then we dealt with some of the history of the cooperative economics. So when I got done with Tech Town, I checked my phone. I got a text message from Roland Martin's producer. Okay, Roland's still on his way back from Liberia. She asked me to be on the panel today. Normally I'm on Friday, so I told her, okay, I'll be on today. And we talked about this story here. Jury convicts Arbery killers of hate crimes. The jurors decided that the three men previously convicted of murdering Ahmaud Arbery were motivated by racism. Actually, we're going to clip one, Shakita, from NBC News. Let's go to clip one first. Let's go to that clip. Here's what happened today. Okay, we'll get it queued up.
Ahmaud Arbery's family and supporters after a federal jury found three men guilty of hate crimes, violating Arbery's rights by chasing him on a public street and killing him because he was black. Gregory McMichael, son Travis, and neighbor William Roddy Bryan, already convicted of murder in state court, today also found guilty of attempted kidnapping, and the McMichaels guilty of using a firearm to commit a violent crime.
I'm glad that the jurors came in with the correct verdict, and we finally got to justice.
Guilty on every count after less than 4 hours of deliberations. Prosecutors telling the jury racial hatred motivated the three men, showing texts and social media posts laced with racial slurs, revealing Bryan was angry about his daughter's relationship with a black man. The older McMichael making disparaging remarks about black tenants renting property he owned. His son writing a message about liking his job because 0 N-words work with me.
Why do you think it's important to pursue these cases? If you can't walk down the street without fearing being targeted because of who you are, then what kind of country can we really hope to build?
In Washington, the Attorney General vowed to prosecute more cases like this one.
I cannot imagine the pain that a mother feels to have her son run down and then gunned down.
The verdict coming on the eve of the 2-year anniversary of the fatal encounter, also designated Ahmaud Arbery Day to honor him by Georgia's legislature. The three men convicted of killing Arbery, already serving life in prison, now each face the possibility of another life sentence, guilty of committing a hate crime.
Okay, so we're coming up on a break. So they have not been sentenced yet. Okay, they could get life sentences once again. We're going to continue this on the other side of the break. And I'll let you hear what happened today on Roland Martin Unfiltered. And then also, you remember the case out of New Jersey of the 13-year-old African-American boy named Zeke at the mall, who was beat up by another boy who was older and taller than him, but the police arrested Zeke. Now the head of mall security is saying that Zeke's parents have to pay for the table that was broken when Zeke was tackled by the police. Okay, we'll talk about this as well because their attorney, Benjamin Crump, posted about this on social media today. Listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by. Stand by. All right, share this broadcast on the social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. Well, it's a federal trial, so federal trials don't get televised, but there was coverage of it. There was commentary on it. There were reporters outside the courthouse. Okay, back from break in 3 minutes. Stand by. Okay, who still needs to register for the online class that I teach on Saturdays and Sundays? From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. And ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Okay, stand by here. I'll back from break in 3 minutes. Okay, share this broadcast on social media platforms. Give us a thumbs up if you like this broadcast or a heart. Okay, who was that? Stephen. Okay. Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, see, they don't allow cameras in federal court. So it was a federal trial, so they don't allow cameras in federal court. They don't allow cameras to take pictures. That's why you see the sketch artists doing sketches. Okay, next class is Saturday, February 26, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place also. Classes on sale $80, regularly $130. As soon as you register, you can watch the class we just did this past weekend. All right, stand by. Back from break in 1 minute. All right, back from 1 minute. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022, and we are live. All right, calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. So right before the break, we were talking about the guilty verdict on federal hate crimes charges of Travis McMichael, Greg McMichael, and William Bryan in the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. They were found guilty of federal hate crimes charges, depriving him of his civil rights. Before we go back to that, we're going to go to clip 2, Shakid, in just a second here. I want to remind you, you can still register for the 10-week online classes I teach on the weekend. On Saturdays, it is Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Ancient Kemet, Kemet's one of the original names for Egypt. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And we do this class on Saturdays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. Classes on sale, $80, regularly $120, regularly $130, I should say. We have a bundle pack where you can register for both classes. You can register for this one, as well as the class I teach on Sundays, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. And I talked a little bit about some of that history that I covered in the class when I did the presentation for Tech Town today, and some of this history also came up on Roland Martin Unfiltered today as well. Okay, so visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for the classes. As soon as you register, you can watch the classes we did this past weekend. There's also bonus content you can watch. And we have a bundle pack. You can register for both classes for only $120. It's a $260 value. If you've taken any of the online classes with me in the past, email me at TheAHNShow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and you'll get 50% off the courses. Okay, you get 50% off. All right, I want to go back to this piece here from the New York Times dealing with what happened today in federal court. Okay, and the conviction on federal hate crimes charges of 3 men who killed Ahmaud Arbery. So if you go back to these updates here from the New York Times, a jury on Tuesday, February 22nd, okay, 2/22/22, a jury on Tuesday found the 3 white men, 3 white Georgia men who murdered Ahmaud Arbery guilty of all federal hate crimes, determining that they were motivated by racism when they chased Ahmaud Arbery down through their Satilla Shores neighborhood. The case was one of the most high-profile hate crime trials in years and came after a rash of acts of violence against African Americans, including Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, including Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd, led to protests and soul searching around the nation. It was seen as a victory for the Justice Department, which has pledged to make such cases a priority. However, there's some controversy here, and maybe on tomorrow's show, I'll play the segment from Making the Case with Yodit Tawalde, because from the Black News Channel, she had 2 attorneys on talking about this. And Benjamin Crump, the family attorney for the Ahmaud Arbery family, he was on MSNBC today. So the Department of Justice and the prosecutors for the Department of Justice wanted to accept a plea deal from the defendants. And they, according to Wanda Cooper Jones, the mother of Ahmaud Arbery, they were basically ignoring the pleas of her and Ahmaud's father to go forward with the trial. The judge refused to accept the plea deal. Okay, so the trial took place, and then also we saw that Greg McMichael and Travis McMichael revoked their guilty pleas. So we actually had a trial. But in having this trial, what happened was it allowed all of the racist, hateful text messages and social media messages and testimony regarding William Bryan calling his daughter's boyfriend the N-word because his daughter is dating an African-American man, and his daughter responding reportedly from it was a text conversation. His daughter responding reportedly, yes, he's black, but honestly, it's just a color. It doesn't define him or make me love him any less. So if this trial had not happened, we wouldn't know the details here, okay? And we talked about this today on Roland Martin Unfiltered. I'm gonna go to clip 2 in just a second, Shakita. But if we go back to this piece here from the New York Times. So while legal analysts say that hate crimes are especially difficult to prove, federal prosecutors in the Georgia trial presented voluminous evidence of the defendant's racist beliefs and crude language, leaving some jurors visibly shaken. It took them roughly 4 hours to reach a verdict. They're talking about the trial today, the verdict today, this trial, the federal hate crimes trial. When it was read aloud in court, some jurors wept. Okay, and this is something that Benjamin Crump talked about today, how really emotional it was. Even the jury foreman reading the verdicts and how it was like really emotional today in court. It took them roughly 4 hours to reach a verdict. When it was read aloud in court, some jurors wept. Now, national civil rights leaders hailed the conviction as a victory for racial justice. Mark Morial of the National Urban League, CEO of the National Urban League, said, as the nation continues to grapple with racially motivated violence by police and vigilantes who shroud themselves in self-appointed authority, the jury sent a powerful message. We see you for what you are, and we will not tolerate your deadly campaign of intimidation. This verdict draws a clear line in the sand. All right. Now, Ahmaud Arbery's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, said she never doubted that the jury would find the defendants guilty, but her satisfaction was tempered with grief. Okay, let's go to clip 2, Shakita. This is from Roland Martin Unfiltered today. Dr. Avis Jones, the Weaver, was sitting in for Roland, who's still on his way back from Liberia.
From the first place. Well, let me start by thanking you for doing this segment, and let me be very clear to everyone. Nothing would have ever happened in this case but for the Arbery family. Mm-hmm. They were extraordinary from day one. They made all the difference in the world. I can't even begin to tell you how much they fought. Remember that the district attorney here told Greg McMichael to go home and take a bath, and told the police not to arrest him, and told the Arbery family a lie. They said Ahmaud had been killed inside a house while he was trying to commit a burglary. When his body, the Arbery family found out when they drove down the Satilla Shores, had been in the street. They had to unravel not only lie after lie, but they had to go down there every day, Marcus and his brothers, and he would take his sisters sometimes, and they would say to the district attorney, you better bring charges. And they wouldn't. Until that video was released, they even demanded the video because they had heard of it. But until that video was released, nobody was prosecuted in this case. That's why when you heard the first case, you noticed all the evidence stopped after 2 days. Because that's when they stopped investigating. Because Jackie Johnson was doing everything she could to make sure that Travis and Greg McMichael and Brian were protected. Now, that has been such
Okay,
cases.
pause
but
right
it
there,
will
Shakita.
be-
We're coming up on a break. Okay, so that's attorney Barbara Arnwine, who was outside the courthouse basically every day, helping support the family and also reporting on what was happening. And she was one of the activists really pushing to even before. Even before charges were filed, Barbara Arnwine was on the ground there in Brunswick, Georgia. We're going to continue this on the other side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by. Stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. All right, how's everybody doing? Okay, stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Share this broadcasting on social media platforms. All right, who still needs to register for the online classes I teach on the weekend? Back from break in 2 minutes. Back from break in 2 minutes.
History Network show, we deal with current events in history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Unfortunately, many people confuse what racism is. Racism is a power structure. There was laws and policies that put us in this predicament. There's going to be laws and policies that take us out. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the compass of his or her actions because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know.
We have it all on 910 AM Superstation. 910, the Superstation, Detroit's only African-American talk radio.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. Calling numbers 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. If you'd like this type of information, also you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show, paypal.me/the AHN show. And we have the information also right on the homepage of our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. So that helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting. We're here 6 days a week. So right on the homepage of our website, when you scroll down, you'll see the information for Cash App and the link and for PayPal. Also on Wednesday, February 23rd, I'll be on a panel discussion dealing with reparations. This is organized by Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, the Michigan State Organization Social Action Committee of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. This is taking place Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's open to the public. It's a virtual panel discussion. So it's right on the homepage of our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Click right there for register here. It's on Zoom. And you can join us there, okay? And also you can register for the online classes I teach on the weekend as well at our website as well. Okay, so I want to go back to the story here, our lead story, dealing with what happened in court today, and the three white men who killed Ahmaud Arbery being found guilty on federal hate crime charges also. All right. And if we go back to this article here from New York Times, and then we'll go back to Roland Martin, the filter, Shakita. Wanda Cooper Jones, Ahmaud Arbery's mother, said she never doubted that the jury would find the defendants guilty, but her satisfaction was tempered with grief. She said, as a mother, I will never heal. They gave us a small sense of victory, but we will never get victory because Ahmaud is dead. Now, in addition to the hate crime convictions, the jury also found the three men guilty of attempted kidnapping and found the McMichaels guilty of one count each of brandishing or discharging a firearm during the violent crime. So keep in mind, once again, William Bryan was unarmed. So they were found, so the McMichaels were found guilty of one count each of brandishing or discharging a firearm. And all three of them were also found guilty of attempted kidnapping. Okay. Now the men now face up to life in prison. The men now face up to life in prison for the federal charges, on top of the life sentences they received in Georgia state court this year after being convicted of Ahmaud Arbery's murder, with only William Bryan eligible for parole. Now, the federal convictions ensure that the defendants will receive significant prison time, even if their state convictions are overturned or their sentences reduced on appeal. So that's why it was important to have the federal hate crimes trial in case the sentencing, in case the conviction in Georgia state court is the sentence is reduced or the conviction is overturned, which is highly unlikely, but you don't want to take chances. Now, most cases that local prosecutors and others ask the Justice Department to pursue do not end up this way. The Justice Department tends to be careful in selecting such cases, pursuing 17% of the hate crime incidents. It was presented between 2005 and 2019 when the Justice Department does decide to prosecute. The cases usually end up with defendants pleading guilty. Okay, so federal hate crimes trials are rare because it's a high burden that has to be proven by the prosecution, and it largely goes to willful intent. You have to you have to prove that they willfully intended to deprive somebody of their civil rights. Okay, which goes to state of mind. Here you had overwhelming evidence. A lot of cases you don't have that. Now, in this case, prosecutors had initially reached plea agreements with two defendants, Gregory and Travis McMichael, that would have sent them to federal prison for 30 years. But Ahmaud Arbery's family protested the deals in part because they would have allowed the men to serve their time in federal prison, viewed by some as less dangerous rather than state prison. Now, Judge Lisa Godbey Wood ultimately rejected the plea agreements, allowing the trial to go forward. Judge Wood has not yet sentenced the men in the trial that ended on Tuesday, and it was uncertain whether they would start serving their time in a state prison for the murders or in a federal prison for the hate crimes. Okay, let's go back to this clip from Roland Martin Unfiltered, and this is Dr. Avis Jones, the Weaver, was sitting in for Roland today, who's on his way back from Liberia, from covering the bicentennial celebration in Liberia. And right before the break, we were listening to attorney Barbara Arnwine, who had been there on the ground day after day after day outside the Georgia courthouse during the trial of the men who killed Ahmaud Arbery. Let's go back to this clip, Shakita.
Her indictment, because she's been indicted for abuse of office when that comes up. So I just want people to be clear that had it not been for the advocacy of Marcus Arbery in this family, had it not been for Wanda Cooper Jones using her influence, none of this, not a bit of this would be talked about today. The Justice Department, they traditionally do not like to bring hate crime cases. We have all had to deal with that. They lost their share of them. But this case was such a clear case that they had to bring. And I was glad that they started the case. Now, one thing Marcus is definitely making a strong point on, understand that on the 31st, one of the reasons why the family did not want that plea agreement accepted is that it would have kept every bit of that evidence that you heard about racism, about racial monkeys and boot lips and all this nonsense, this hate, this murderous hate, not just hate, but murderous hate that was in their hearts and that they were determined to act on. Every bit of that would have been kept under seal right there on. And I just wanted to really make that point. It was important to the family. It was important to Transformative Justice Coalition that the nation knew not only was Ahmaud an innocent man, not only should he be alive now, but we wanted people to know precisely the utterances, the ugliness that was in the hearts and minds and what's left of any soul that these people ever had. Because it was vicious and absolutely inexcusable. And I'm so glad that now they got a double sentence. About to have a double sentence.
Exactly. And Attorney General Garland came out and made a statement about this today. Let's take a listen to that. And then I'd love to get your reaction to that, Chair Jones.
Modern federal hate crime laws have enhanced the Justice Department's authority to prosecute violent acts motivated by bias. Throughout our history and to this day, hate crimes have a singular impact because of the terror and fear that they inflict on entire communities. The Justice Department does not investigate or prosecute people because of their ideology or the views they hold, no matter how vile. But the Justice Department does have the authority and will not hesitate to act when individuals commit violent acts that are motivated by bias or hate. No one in this country should have to fear the threat of hate-fueled violence. No one should fear being attacked or threatened because of what they look like, where they are from, whom they love, or how they worship. And no one should fear that if they go out for a run, they will be targeted and killed because of the color of their skin. The Justice Department has a legal obligation to prosecute hate crimes. And as Americans, all of us have a moral obligation to combat the hatred and bigotry that motivates those crimes.
Well, those were very eloquent words about how horrible hate crimes are and how the Justice Department has a moral obligation to prosecute. But I'm curious, Mr. Jones, chair of the Transformative Justice Center, does his word actually jive with the actions of the Justice Department? Because he didn't even mention the criticisms of Mr. Arbery's mother today, which were totally based in fact.
And that's an excellent question. And, as everyone here knows that, I am not a huge fan of Merrick Garland in terms of the strength that generally the Justice Department should show. we know, as Marcus laid out, as Wanda Cooper Jones laid out, that, they really forced the process to work in this case. It wasn't where the process was working for the family. It didn't work in the state court. The only reason they had the state court prosecution was because Marcus Arbery and the family forced them to go forward. And similarly, on the federal.
All right, we're coming up on a break. We'll continue this on the other side of the break. There was a only where Barbara and the other attorney were on location. They had a little problem with their internet, so some of it is a little garbled. We'll continue this on the other side of the break, and you get to hear my response on the panel also from today. All right, you listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Visit Central Park Deli today and receive 10% off.
All right, stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. All right, stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. All right, yeah, thanks, Chago. Yeah, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a heart on this video, please. Back from break in 2 minutes. All right, here's the link to register for the online classes. That I teach on the weekend. As soon as you register, you can watch the classes we did this past weekend. And you can join us in class on Saturday and Sunday. And keep in mind, you can watch the classes on demand also. So if you miss any of them, they're all archived. You still have access even after the class is over. So a year from now, if you want to go back and watch the entire course, you can do that. Back from break in 2 minutes. Back from break in 1 minute. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation Future Radio. Okay, so let's go back. So right before the break, we heard Attorney General Merrick Garland and his comments from today. Also, BusinessInsider.com has an article dealing with how Merrick Garland sidestepped criticism from the family of Ahmaud Arbery. There was a article from BusinessInsider.com I was looking at on that as well. All right, let's go back to this clip from Roland Martin Unfiltered from today, Shakita. Okay, hold on. Did we lose? Wait a second. No, we're still there. We're still connected through Skype. Okay. All right. If we look at this auto, just press it when it's queued up, when it's ready. If we look at,
Very difficult.
go ahead.
But Marcus has that kind of a heart that he knew that kind of sacrifice was necessary to get true justice, and he wanted the world to know the truth about what happened here, and that he didn't want there to be any cover-up, any more cover-up. He didn't want to be any, quote, deals made where this evidence would never see the light of day. He was determined that the world, just like, I'm going to let Gary talk about a certain historical figure in the 1950s.
I said, thank you, Barbara. So a large part of what the Arbery story is, it's really a story of voting rights. And people don't, sometimes miss that point. It's a thing of voting rights. Because, in the beginning, with Jackie Johnson, the state's attorney that was then in place, she was up for election when Ahmaud was slain. And she was the one that was trying to cover everything up, to push it away so that there would not be a prosecution. She was at arm's length, would hold the Arbery family, tell them, we got your back, that she had their back. That's what a large part of what made this in a voting rights situation. And it was the Arbery family that then got involved, that had to actually get petitions of signatures to get a name on the ballot because Jackie Johnson was up for re-election, and ultimately able to get the name on the ballot and get that person elected. But I'll tell you the bigger piece to this. In 1955 in Money, Mississippi, there was a similar situation that kind of sort of happened with a young man that was 14 years old named Emmett Till. And Mamie Till in that situation wanted to be certain that all the world saw what these white folks in Mississippi did to her baby, did to her child. And so she was going to have an open casket so everybody could see it. What we do is we draw an analogy from then to now, because what the Arbery family did in demanding that the Department of Justice have a federal hate crime in this case, they were demanding that the casket in this case be opened up for all the world to see all the vicious hatred that went into the killing of their son. And the strength that it took Emmett Till's mom, Mamie Till, to watch and see him in that casket laying like that is the same strength and character that it took this Arbery family to sit through this federal hate crimes trial. That's why we draw the analogy. That's the reason that we stand by the Arbery family. We appreciate what they've done and what it took of them to do it. When we initially met Marcus Arbery, he's very close, very close to want to talk. He's never gotten to the point where he's open, he's ready to talk. He's taking, how do they say, he's taking the gloves off, but he's drawing bare now. He wants people to know. He's not going to back down, that's not who they are. Know the facts, know what happened, and own up to what you did. That's all that he's ever said for those defendants. Own up to what you did and let all the world know. And that's what they've done in standing up in this federal hate crimes trial. And the third part of this is going to be the trial of Jackie Johnson, that state's attorney. And we hope everybody comes down for that trial. And again, I know that the Arbery family will not be wanting them to have any pleas. They want that open. They want everything admitted as to what she did so everybody can understand what a bad prosecutor, a corrupt prosecutor looks like.
Absolutely. And do we know when that trial is scheduled to take place, roughly?
Not yet.
That's the scary part, is that we know that she was indicted in November, that ordinarily if you're indicted in November, by December, you have some type of initial appearance, arraignment, and trial date. There's no trial date that's been out, that's been publicized for this Jackie Johnson case. But you can rest assured that, they're not playing with bumblebees here. We're blocks, we stink, we're coming in, we're going to find out what's going on and be certain that
Come on down.
I hear you.
All right.
They're about to get stung again, it sounds like. Michael.
That's right.
Michael,
100%
exactly. So Daryl brought in a historical lens into this discussion, and I would love to be able to tap into your expertise in that area. What's really sad to me is it almost seems like we haven't progressed at all since the days of Emmett Till. I mean, we do at least have this case brought through to conclusion where we do have convictions here. But there are so many similarities. And as was the case previously, as was rightly pointed out, you really had to have a family that was determined to make sure that the world knew what happened to their child. What can we learn from history in terms of not only this case, but future cases, unfortunately, because we know this isn't going to be the last one, around how important it is for strong Black families like Ahmaud to be able to have the strength in the midst of their grief to stand up and fight for what's right and to see it through to the end?
Well, I think there's a few things here. Number one, when I first heard about this case, I thought immediately of Emmett Till. And it's important to note that, when J.W. Millum and Roy Bryant were put on trial, they were acquitted by an all-white jury. Mm-hmm. And then a few months later, they admitted to killing Emmett Till in an interview in Look magazine, were paid $4,000 for that interview also. So in some ways, we have progressed because at least, even though it was a monumental effort, and it should not take this much to get justice, or any type of justice. It should not take this much, and people outside the courthouse having a rally and protest, things like this. But we did get 2 convictions and 2 trials. So one of the things, like in this hate crime trial, and reading the coverage from the Washington Post, because I've been watching this from day one and talking about this on the African History Network show. One of the things that is really important, and this takes us back to Dr. Carter G. Woodson and why he created Negro History Week, the second week in February 1926. He said that the history of African Americans need to be taught in all schools across the country, not just the schools that we're in. Mm-hmm. He said everybody needs to understand our history, because he thought that race prejudice largely was the result of people being ignorant of the contributions of African Americans to the society. And when you read some of the statements, especially from somebody like Travis McMichael, who's 36 years old.
All right, we're coming up on a hard break. Those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. We're going to keep broadcasting for a few more minutes. I'm having some technical difficulties here as well. Those watching on Facebook and YouTube, we're going to finish that clip. Keep watching. And remember, right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. All right, stand by. We're having some technical difficulties here. Oh, okay. All right, we're going to finish the rest of that clip here. We're only on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation for 1 hour. So let me cue this clip up here where we left off. Just 1 second here. Let's cue that up where we left off, and rest of this stuff we'll finish tomorrow. There's some more coverage of the trial that we discussed today, but we'll get to that tomorrow. Hold on. Okay, I'll come in at the 21. All right, stand by. Let me cue this up. All right, what is wrong with this? Hold on. All right, just a second. It's YouTube videos not playing. Let me refresh the screen. All right, stand by. Let me cue this up here. wasn't brought up by the prosecution. And in looking at this case from the beginning, looking at a lot of the social media messages and things like this, especially from Travis McMichael using the N-word, and you have William Bryan who called his daughter's boyfriend an N-word, and his daughter responded to him on that. So I had a pretty good idea that they were going to be found guilty. With Merrick Garland, he said the right things, but I think they should have pursued this case. And I think we should also get to the bottom of, okay, what actually happened? Because I read the January 31st, 2022 statement that's on justice.gov from Kristen Clark, Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark. And I'm looking at it right now. It's at justice.gov. So I think we should also get to the bottom. Okay, so what happened? Because according to Kristen Clark, now we know that apparently this is not what happened, but according to Kristen Clark, she said that the attorneys for the family accepted the plea deal. So if that's not the case, and apparently it's not, then what's really going on? I think we should get to the bottom of that as well.
Absolutely. And your thoughts, DeMario?
All right, well, it's good to be here. It's so good to see my good people, Barbara Arbery.
Okay, just 1 second. We'll go back to DeMario. DeMario's an attorney, DeMario Solomon Simmons, who's a panelist usually on, he's a panelist now on Tuesdays on Roland Martin Unfiltered. And he represents the 3 survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre, also the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. But I mentioned the statement from Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark, who's African-American female, brilliant attorney. I want to go to her statement here from justice.gov, from the Department of Justice, from January 31st, 2022. I don't know why they didn't go to her statement on Roland Martin Unfiltered. I thought they would have done that, but okay. I guess they didn't have a chance to pull it up. So I know they were dealing with a lot today. So Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark for the Civil Rights Division issued the following statement today, Monday, January 31st, 2022, regarding the hearing in United States versus McMichael. We respect the court's decision to not accept the sentencing terms of the proposed plea and to continue the hearing until Friday. The Justice Department takes seriously its obligation to confer with the Arbery family and their attorneys, both pursuant to the Crime Victim Rights Act and opt out of respect for the victim, before signing the proposed agreement reflecting the defendant's confessions to federal hate crimes charges. The Civil Rights Division consulted with the victim's attorneys before signing the proposed agreement reflecting the defendant's confessions to federal hate crimes charges. The Civil Rights Division consulted with the victim's attorneys. The Justice Department entered the plea agreement only after the victim's attorneys informed me that the family was not opposed to it. Okay, so this is why I said, okay, so we need to find out, get to the bottom of actually what happened. All right. So I want to go back to this clip here. All right, just a minute here. Accepted the plea deal. So if that's not the case, and apparently it's not, then what's really going on? I think we should get to the bottom of that as well.
Absolutely. And your thoughts, DeMario?
All right, well, it's good to be here. It's so good to see my good people, Barbara Arwine and Daryl Jones. These are people that I get an opportunity to work with a lot. I know how powerful they are. Obviously, we got to give a lot of credit to the Arbery family and his mother and father. But we also got to give credit to Barbara and Daryl because they showed up each and every day and they stood with that family. They fought with that family, along with my frat brothers, good friends, Lee Merritt and Attorney Ben Crump. So it takes all of us to come together and fight. And I think that's what Daryl is saying. We don't want to have a scenario where it takes fully a national effort to bring these type of cases to bear. One of the things that I think we need to focus on here is reform to the actual hate crimes law, which says you have to prove that race is the only factor. We need to be able to prove that race is a motivating factor, right? That race is involved, because it makes it so difficult to even bring these cases. And that's an issue that we must deal with. Secondly, I think we want to make sure that we keep our eye on the ball and make sure that those prosecutors are prosecuted. Those people who conspire to take this particular murder and put it underneath the rug, as Barbara stated, told him to go home and take a shower, take a bath. In other words, conceal evidence. This guy was obstruction of justice. He should be brought, those prosecutors should be looking at federal crimes along with civil litigation. So I'm excited that there's some form of accountability for Ahmaud Arbery, but real justice is that a black man can run down the street without being assaulted, killed, and then treated like an animal.
Absolutely.
Come on, man. Absolutely, bro.
Absolutely. And I'm wondering about, would love to bring this conversation back to Ahmaud's dad, because as was pointed out by Barbara, we wouldn't be here had it not been for your family and for your family's strength, your persistence, your fight to make sure that you got justice for your son no matter what. Can you explain to us what was going through your mind initially when you were hitting all the roadblocks, when you were getting all the no's, when you were getting the lies from the police department about what actually happened to your son? What made you keep going?
Number one, I know they were lying. Because when you raise your children, you've been around your children day one, you know what they'll do. I know what Ahmaud is doing. I know what he wouldn't do. That stealing Ahmaud ain't gonna do that. Because guess what? He was a baby. He always got everything he wanted from all of us. So I know that was a lie. That's what motivated me to keep fighting. Because I know they were lying on me and on the baby.
I hear you. And I'm the baby too, so I know what it's like to be spoiled, okay? So I truly believe what you're saying. And Aunt Diane, I'm also very intrigued with, you know, the beauty of this family, that it's more than just the nuclear family. It's also the aunts. I'm sure it was also uncles. It was.
All right, so we're going to pause it right there. You can watch the show in its entirety. Watch it at Roland Martin on Facebook, Roland Martin on YouTube. And then download the Black Star Media app. That's the download the Black Star Media app, and you can watch Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Media app on your smartphone, your iPhone, Android, Roku devices. That's the show from February 22nd, 2022. All right. This other story we'll get to quickly, and we'll talk about this some more tomorrow's show. This second story. So you remember the out of New Jersey. Remember the story of Zeke, the African-American boy, 13 years old, who was tackled by police and arrested. He got into a fight with a older boy who this is 15 years old, named Joseph. This is at a mall, okay, Bridgewater Commons Mall. So New York Daily News has this article: Black kid roughed up by New Jersey cops at mall, told to pay for broken table, according to Benjamin Crump. Benjamin Crump is the attorney for the family. And Benjamin Crump posted on social media today about this. So the incident occurred February 12th at Bridgewater Commons Mall, about an hour's drive from New York City, when an African-American boy got into a fight. Now, the boy he got into a fight with, his name is Joseph. Joseph is not white. Joseph, even though the article here from New York Daily News says he's white, he's not. Joseph was interviewed by NJ.com. NewJersey.com over the weekend, and he said he's Colombian and Pakistani. Okay, but we'll get to that in just a second. So video of the fight shows both kids falling to the floor as two police officers arrive. One police officer pulls Joseph away from Zeke, and Zeke is African American, while the other officer tackles Zeke. Now, the officers then roughly handcuff Zeke and leave Joseph, who's lighter skinned, who appears white, but he's Pakistani and Colombian, and leave Joseph unattended sitting on a nearby couch. According to NJ.com, neither boy has been charged with any crimes. Now, civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, who the family of Zeke hired last week, released a statement with an update about the case on Monday, February 21st. Benjamin Crump said in a tweet, "We have an update in the case of the black eighth grader." What is the hell is this? We have an update in the case of the black eighth grader Zeke, who New Jersey Bridgewater Township police officers forcefully detained after a physical altercation at a mall. At the same time, they presumed a white teen who instigated the incident as innocent and didn't use force on him. So then he posts here, it has just been discovered that the mother of Zeke, the black teenager involved, was told by the head of mall security when she went to pick him up that she would be responsible for the cost of a broken table that law enforcement knocked over as they used explicit bias and excessive force, slamming her 13-year-old son to the ground face first and putting a knee in his back. This is offensive and unacceptable. This is offensive and unacceptable. Demand of payment continues to exemplify the disparate treatment of white families and black families in America. The only people who should be able to ask, the only people who should be asked to pay for the damaged table are those who engaged in biased policing and caused it to be damaged, and that's the Bridgewater Police Department, okay? Because they're the ones that broke the table. Now, this was mall, according to attorney Benjamin Crump, this was mall security who said this to Zeke's mother, okay? And this tweet's from February 21st, 2022. Now, Joseph, who's the other boy, is 15 years old, and Joseph was interviewed over the weekend by NJ.com, NewJersey.com. Now, Joseph said that he's not white, okay, but he said that the police were racist. He said that the police were racist for arresting Zeke. He said, "I don't understand why they arrested him and not me." The teen who said he is Colombian and Pakistani. See if we can. Okay, the teen who said he's Colombian and Pakistani. Joseph told NJ.com, NewJersey.com. He said, quote, "I say that was just plain old racist. I don't condone that at all. Like I said, I even offered to get arrested," end quote. Now, according to the report, rumors circulated online about a fight between other teens and police were stationed at the mall after learning about the planned fracas. Joseph told NJ.com, NewJersey.com, he said, I knew that was really bad. I even offered to get handcuffed. I offered to get detained, and Kai was detained, the African American boy, and they turned my offer down. I even asked them why they detained Kai and not me, and they said because Kai was resisting. End quote. Now, Joseph said he had been cyberbullied since the fight and regrets that it happened. So he's the 15-year-old. He's older. He was taller, lighter skinned. Governor Phil Murphy said he was deeply disturbed by what appears to be racially disparate treatment. The Somerset County Prosecutor's Office is investigating the incident, and the officers who have not been identified, the Somerset County Prosecutor's Office is investigating the incident and the officers who have not been identified. They're investigating their conduct. All right, now check out this article here from they were on Joanne Reed's show. Okay, Zeke was on with his father and attorney Benjamin Crump on Joanne Reed's show, The Readout. Okay, so check out this article here from New York Daily News. It's picked up by MSN.com. Black kid roughed up by New Jersey cops at mall, told to pay for broken table. Okay, so we talked about this on Roland Martin Unfiltered today, and it was a segment, the main segment where we talked about it. They ran out of time for that segment, so I did not get a chance to respond. In another segment where we dealt with this case out of, I think it was Louisiana, a case out of Louisiana dealing with a police brutality, I responded to it then. We're going to go to this clip here. So this was a case out of Louisiana. Two Louisiana deputies are arrested and fired after fatal shooting. Okay, so we were talking about this story, and then when it came to me, then I connected the two stories together. Let's go back to this clip here.
Absolutely. And DeMario, Mustafa makes a good point here. It feels like a broken record, right? We always hear this excuse, I fear for my life, I fear for my life. I kind of feel like if you're that scared, do you really need to be a police officer?
Right.
Right. No, like I said, we talk about this every week, and I'm just thinking about a case I was looking at right before, a couple hours before our phone call. I have a client, the police report said that they shot him 9 times, point blank range, right through the window. When this video comes out, it's going to be unbelievable for people to see. And in their police reports, they said that my client tried to run over the deputy's partner. But on the body cam, you see the deputy on the other side of the vehicle at the back of the vehicle. He's nowhere close to it. So to your question, can you believe these reports? No, absolutely not. They lie every day, all day. They're taught how to lie. Another thing we need to continue to understand, when these people, and I deal with this all the time, when these people are killed by the police, particularly in something that's public like this, it is traumatic for the families. Regardless of what type of civil or criminal punishment, it is traumatic for the families. So as much as I sue police officers and cities and try to get justice and put them in jail for doing the wrong thing and being unjust and unconstitutional, I still think the best case scenario for everyone that's listening, you want to leave every police stop on your own. You don't want to leave in a hearse or in an ambulance. That is your goal, and you don't want to go to jail. So yes, you have constitutional rights. You should always remember, never consent to a search, never admit to a crime. Never consent to a search, never admit to a crime. However, Do not try to litigate the issue out on the street. You will lose. Even if you think you're going to win and you go to jail, you're going to lose. If you get beat up, that's a loss for you. And if you get killed, that's a loss for your family. So do what you need to do to stay alive on the police when you have police contact. Never consent to a search, never admit to a crime. Anything after that, wait to call your attorney. Call someone like me that can fight for you, speak for you, stand for you, but you do not want to leave the police contact in a hearse, in an ambulance, or in a police car.
Well, you know, Michael, I think that's some wonderful advice that we were given there.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it just almost feels like, you know, some of these police officers, it appears as if they have a specific desire to just kill people, and specifically kill Black people. You know, as the mother of sons, you know, we give our kids these talks, but can we even be confident that if they do all the right things, that they would leave an interaction like this alive, no matter their actions?
Well, you know, we hope for the best, and that was good advice from DeMario. And I've heard Attorney Monique Presley say some similar things. She said the first thing you have to get in your mind is, this is not my day to die. That's the first, and then from there, do whatever you have to do to stay alive and deal with it legally after the fact. But you know, this whole situation must be pretty bad if the Jefferson Parish sheriff said that the use of force was not justified, and these two deputies were arrested as well. But I want to know, where's the body camera footage also? But this, once again, is tied to the case dealing with Zeke and Joseph in New Jersey, and this deals with the fear of African Americans, especially the fear of African American men. And this is also tied to the three white men, the McMichaels and William Bryan, who were convicted on federal hate crime charges, who harbored a hatred of African Americans, especially African American men, and associated them, especially when you look at Travis McMichael, associated them with criminality and things like this, and acted upon it. And this goes to something that some research that Dr. Philip Atiba Goff has done, and he has a study at the American Psychological Association's website that talks about how African American boys as young as 5 years old are seen as being less innocent, more dangerous, things like this, and they are treated accordingly as well. So this is this system of white supremacy and racism that we're dealing with, which is why people like Dr. Carter G. Woodson said that the history of our people has to be taught in all schools across the country. You have to reverse this programming that's taking place, you know. And if you want me to comment on what happened in New Jersey at the mall as well, I can also very quickly.
Absolutely, because I think it's connected.
Well, it's absolutely connected. So very interesting. So Joseph is the other boy's name. He's actually 15 years old. Joseph was interviewed by NJ.com over the weekend. One, he says he's not white. He says he's Colombian and Pakistani. And he said, quote, he said, I say that, he said it was just plain old racism. He said, I say that was just plain old racist. I don't condone that at all. He said he even offered to get arrested, and the police told him he was all right. That you know, he was okay. So then he even asked why they detained Zeke and not me. And he said, because he said the police told him Zeke was resisting. Now, according to the report, so New York Daily News has a article on this. According to the report, rumors circulated online about a fight between other teens, and police were stationed at the mall after learning about the planned fracas. So I know Attorney Benjamin Crump, who is one of the busiest attorneys in the country. Oh my God. But I know he said that the mall security said that Zeke's mother has to pay for the table. But I want to know what Bridgewater Common Malls and the owners of Bridgewater Common Mall has to say about this, especially when, as Mustafa said, when African Americans start having boycotts against the mall. Because that's what happened in Dearborn, Michigan, probably in the early 1990s, when the police at when the mall police at Fairlane Mall in Dearborn, Michigan, were racially profiling, were hard on African Americans. The NAACP led an economic boycott against Fairlane Mall, and that changed. So we have to take a page out of that history as well. But I want to see what the owners of Bridgewater Commons Mall has to say about Zeke's parents having to pay for that table.
Absolutely. And you know, hopefully if we see people come together and say, we're not going to shop there, I'm sure that they'll find some action really quick to make sure that that table expense is covered.
Okay. So watch the rest of the show. We had a good show today. I'll be back on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday also. This is a busy week. Okay. If you like this type of information, give us a thumbs up, give us a heart. You can also support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me / the AHN Show, paypal.me / the AHN Show. Be sure to register for the online classes I teach on the weekend. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school, and Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. All right, we have to get out of here. So I'll be on the panel discussion Wednesday, February 23rd, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. This is dealing with reparations. This is for African American History Month. I'll be one of the panelists. So we have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's free to register for it. We have the link right on our website. Okay, remember, right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.